Shalom. This video is about light and the significance and power and meaning of light in relationship to spiritual living. This week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh, where I'm recording this, begins with the mitzvah of Ner Tamid, that you should have an eternal light. Now, we don't have a portable ark anymore. Don't know what happened to it, despite the movies about it. We don't have the Mishkan or the Mikdash, the portable tabernacle. What we really have is the synagogue and the ark and the Torah, and we have the eternal light. You walk into any synagogue, and you have a light above the ark that's lit. We call that the Ner Tamid. There's an old story about a rabbi who was hosting a group of young kids, and he was showing them the sanctuary, and then he set us an assignment, in your thank you note, please tell me what you liked best. And one child wrote back and said, I like the internal light. Eternal light, internal light, but it is supposed to be an internal light. It's supposed to have significance and meaning. First of all, the word ner. The Midrash says that the word ner, which is nun and resh, is really the initials of two critical words, nishmat and ruach, the soul and the ruach, the spirit and the enthusiasm. The light is supposed to teach us enthusiasm. In fact, the Greek word enthusiasm means being filled with God. Now, the Hasidim, when they talked about their relationship with God, one of the things they talked about was the word hitlahavut. Now, the root of that word means flame, but when you put it in the grammatical form of hitlahavut, it means to be self-inflamed, to be basically enthusiastic. Einstein, who was probably the smartest guy who lived, at least in the last few hundred years, told us about the theory of relativity, and the one constant in the universe by which all other things are measured is the speed of light. Well, the source that created all of those rules and the speed of light is God, the one true constant in the universe. And that light, being associated with God, teaches us about the meaning and significance of God. When you think about Judaism, we have this Ner Tamid, which probably was the middle candle of the candelabra of the ancient Mishkan. And today we do have candelabras in the synagogue, but we have a single light that stands there as a Ner Tamid. And think about all the verses in the Bible which teach us about the significance of God and of light. We have a verse in Psalms that says that the soul of a person is the candle to God. Nishmat Adam Ner L'Adonai. And we have the phrase in Proverbs that says, mitzvah is a lamp and Torah a light. Or Isaiah, La'or Goyim, the nations shall walk by thy light. The Jewish people have to be an example so the nations will learn and live by the light of Judaism. And the Midrash that says that when you light a candle, it represents three things. It represents study of Torah, observance of the commandments, and praying to God. And of course, think about light and the role it plays in world religion. You have the Christians and their light holiday at Christmas, and the Kwanzaa lighting and the pagans, their holidays of lighting light and darkness, and of course Hanukkah, the festival of lights in Judaism. We light Shabbat candles every week. We light candles at our holidays. We light Yortzeit candles. The significance of lighting a fire to keep us inflamed and enthusiastic. And the folk song for Hanukkah, Don't Let the Light Go Out, or the Haftorah for Hanukkah, that we also read another time, Ba'alotcha, about rise and shine and let the light go forth to Zion. The significance and power of that. Now, the second word of the Ner Tamid means tamid, always. Abraham Joshua Heschel, may he rest in peace, used to say that he doesn't always feel the enthusiasm of prayer, but he prays regularly all the time anyway, because if he only did it when he felt like it, he might not do it, but he does it to keep in tune, and then he has moments of great power and significance and spirituality. One of my favorite professors at seminary, a rabbi professor named David Weiss Olivny, survived the Holocaust, brilliant Talmud teacher, told us a story about in the old days, a watchmaker. They only had like one per region in the old Jewish shtetls in Europe. And he would go every 6 months to a town. He'd make a whole circuit. And if your watch happened to break between visits, you had two choices. You could put it in a drawer, or you could wind it even if it was broken. And the watchmaker noted that for those who kept it in the drawer, he couldn't fix it because it all got rusted. But the ones who kept winding it, even though it was broken, he could fix it when he got back. The importance of regularity in our spiritual life, because you can't be enthusiastic all the time. Despite, above my head here on the door, there's a sign which you probably can't read, which says Mitzvah Gedolah Lehiot Besimcha Tamid, from Rebbe Nachman of Bratslav, a Hasidic Rebbe. My relatives, Bratslav Hasidim, and he said that means Mitzvah Gedolah. It's a great mitzvah, Liot Besimcha Tamid, to try and always be happy and he meant by your joy of God. Now, sometimes in life it feels dark and gloomy, like the news. I mean, we just found out that the intelligence report of the United States that Iran was not building nuclear arms is probably wrong. There's more and more evidence every day that they are. You have a big story in the local papers today and in the New York Times about Hungary and other Eastern European countries where stormtrooper-like, Nazi-like groups are building in strength. Thank goodness the number 2 Hezbollah mass murderer terrorist was killed. But of course Hezbollah is vowing revenge and killing Jews and Israelis, even though that guy was responsible for the death of hundreds of American troops and hijackings and all kinds of terrorism. And you have other terrorist threats. And you have a coming recession, dropping housing market, foreclosures, people have health issues and money issues and relationship issues. Life can seem gloomy. And so how do you maintain enthusiasm in spiritual living? You know, the Torah says about the 9th plague, the plague of darkness in Egypt, that when it was dark in Egypt, the houses of the Israelites were lit. And people have to find a way to light in darkness. You know, when you give away something, you lose it, except for love and fire. You give somebody else fire, you don't lose your fire, you just expend the fire. Like lighting a candle in darkness, you have to stay enthusiastic. And what do you stay enthusiastic for? This idea of the Ner Tamid is telling us you can stay enthusiastic for God. That you understand that the true power and glory and the one constant in the universe is God. And keep our eye on God, on loving God with all our heart, soul, and might, on God's love for us, on keeping the commandments, on studying Judaism, on living as holy as we can, of repenting when we sin. And that is the way in which we can keep a candle lit in darkness, find enthusiasm and joy, and live a life of holiness. And so the Ner Tamid teaches us all